Have you ever been swimming? In the ocean, in a lake, maybe even just close to shore, and felt something brush against your leg, that split second where your skin turns cold, your heart spikes, and your brain screams, "Get out!" Most of the time, it's harmless. Seaweed, a fish, maybe just your own imagination. But for most of Earth's history, that moment wouldn't have been harmless. It could have been your final second, because when the wrong thing touched you, it was already too late. Millions of years ago, Earth's waters were ruled not just by sharks, but by monsters. Creatures so alien, so biologically unhinged, that they make today's great white look like a guppy. They weren't always gigantic, but they were efficient, smart, fast, brutal. And the worst part? They didn't lurk in the deep. They hunted in shallow waters, in rivers, in estuaries, even at the shoreline, where you swim. So if you had the misfortune of going back in time, to the wrong ocean, the wrong river, the wrong moment, you would not survive. But now, you're safe. So sit tight, because today, you're going to meet the most terrifying marine killers of prehistory, and why the water was never ours to begin with. Let's start with a monster that didn't swim like a dinosaur. It swam like a torpedo. Tylosaurus was a marine reptile from the late Cretaceous, part of the mosasaur family. But it wasn't just another swimming lizard. No, it was one of the apex predators of its time. A silent killer, roughly the length of a city bus, packed with hundreds of razor-sharp teeth and a jaw that could flex outward to swallow animals nearly half its own size. The largest species was Tylosaurus proriger, which reached lengths of 13 to 14 meters, about 43 to 46 feet, and weighed between 9 and 11 tons. Its skull alone measured up to 1.5 meters, about 5 feet long, tapering into a long, reinforced snout used not only for biting, but also for ramming prey like a living battering ram. But it didn't hunt like a shark. It stalked like a reptilian assassin, lying in wait among coral reefs, shallow coastal waters, and estuaries. Its powerful tail allowed it to coil and launch forward at terrifying speed, using surprise as its greatest weapon. And what it hunted were other predators. Squid, seabirds, turtles, even other mosasaurs. Nothing was off the menu. Fossil evidence from stomach contents confirms the breadth of its diet. Bones of other marine reptiles, shark fragments, whole fish swallowed intact. When Tylosaurus moved into an area, the food chain reshaped itself around it. And the truly terrifying reality? It lived where water met land. Coastlines with mangroves, shallow waters, places where you'd think you were safe. You could be wading waist deep and never see it coming. It vanished in the mass extinction 66 million years ago, but for more than 20 million years, Tylosaurus didn't just survive, it eliminated everything that couldn't escape. If Tylosaurus was a sleek missile of the Cretaceous, Dunkleosteus was a floating war machine of the Devonian, measuring 3.4 to 5 meters, about 11 to 16 feet, in length, and weighing 1,200 to 1,760 kilograms, roughly 2,600 to 3,900 pounds. Forget teeth. This massive predator didn't need them. Instead, it wielded bony shears, huge, self-sharpening jaw plates that functioned like biological scissors, slicing through armor, flesh, and even bone. It couldn't chew. It didn't have to. It swallowed. Its armored skull was a fortress, made of thick, fused dermal plates, forming a natural helmet about 5 centimeters thick. And behind that skull was pure evolutionary violence, a bite force estimated at over 5,000 newtons, powerful enough to split a primitive shark in half with a single snap. Even worse, it struck fast, very fast. Biomechanical studies show that Dunkleosteus could open its jaws in under 50 milliseconds, generating a powerful suction that dragged prey straight into its hungry mouth. 1 second you're swimming. The next, you're head first into a living guillotine. Unlike many of its contemporaries, it wasn't built for long pursuits. It was built to end things, quickly and violently. Its dominance was so absolute that it may have contributed to the collapse of its prey populations. For tens of millions of years, it patrolled shallow seas near reefs and estuaries, until entire food webs began to buckle under the weight of its efficiency. When Dunkleosteus vanished, it wasn't just an extinction. It was like finally pulling the plug on a submerged apex. But while it lived, it wasn't just a predator. It was pressure-made flesh, the blade of evolution, perfected in armor. Before sharks ruled the seas, before dinosaurs even existed, something far more disturbing crept through the waters. It didn't roar, it didn't swim like a fish, or dive like a reptile. It crawled just beneath the surface, silent, creeping, ancient. Meet the giant eurypterid, a distant and terrifying ancestor of modern scorpions and crabs. This isn't fiction. Some species, like Daclylopterus, reach 2.3 to 2.6 meters, about 7.5 to 8.5 feet in length, with estimated weights of 180 to 250 kilograms, 400 to 550 pounds. Their long, segmented bodies gliding through rivers and brackish coastal waters. But the real horror? Its claws, long, jointed pincers, serrated and curved like meat hooks, designed to seize and crush armored trilobites and any other creature unlucky enough to share the shoreline. Unlike most creatures of its time, this arthropod didn't rely on brute force alone. Its flattened body was built for stealth, and paddle-like limbs gave it short bursts of shocking speed. It didn't chase you. It waited for you. Some fossil deposits revealed dozens of them together, suggesting pack hunting or at least collective behavior. A chilling thought, not just one of these crawling through the shallows, but 10. Eventually, competition from evolving fish and changes in oxygen levels drove these arthropods into decline. But their reign lasted over 100 million years. And during that time, if you dipped a foot into their waters, the sand might reach back. Some creatures were terrifying because of their size, others because they made no biological sense. For more than a century, Helicoprion puzzled paleontologists. All they had was a fossilized spiral of teeth. No skull, no vertebrae, just a serrated coil, like a circular saw rolled into a spiral. 6 species of this animal have been identified. The largest among them, Helicoprion ergosamenon, reached 5 to 7 meters in length and weighed 1.5 to 2.5 tons. But a fossil labeled Helicoprion cf. bessonowi suggests a length of 11.3 meters, and at that size it may have weighed around 7 to 9 tons, far larger than the others. For decades, no one knew what it was. A weapon? A defensive structure? Some thought it sat on the nose like a horn, or on the tail like a blade, but the truth was far worse. The Helicoprion spiral wasn't external, it was inside the jaw. A prehistoric, shark-like fish, nearly 37 feet long, with a lower jaw housing a constantly renewing conveyor belt of teeth, more than 180 serrated blades rotating inward with every bite. With each attack, new teeth were pushed forward while old ones were pulled back into the spiral, forming an endless dental wheel of death. This wasn't brute force on display. It was surgical carnage, refined by 50 million years of evolution. Soft-bodied prey, like primitive squids, would vanish in seconds once caught by the rotating blades. And the fact that for decades, we thought it was a joke, that's the genius of nature. Helicoprion didn't care about logic. It only cared about results. Because when it bit, there was only one possible outcome: your soft body shredded. When most people think of whales, they imagine gentle giants, slow, social animals feeding on plankton or squid. But 13 million years ago, there lived a whale that completely shattered that image. Named after the biblical sea monster and Herman Melville, author of Moby Dick, this whale was Leviathan melvilli, and it did not graze. It hunted. Measuring 13.5 to 17.5 meters in length, weighing 40 to 57 tons, and sporting a skull nearly 3 meters long, Leviathan was a true super predator. Its teeth were not delicate. They were built for violence. Conical, serrated, and up to 35 centimeters long, the largest functional predatory teeth ever discovered. But what truly set Leviathan apart wasn't its size. It was its strategy. Unlike modern sperm whales, which use suction to draw in squid, Leviathan bit, using a powerful clamp-like jaw to tear chunks of flesh directly from other whales. Yes, it hunted members of its own kind. Fossilized bite marks found on other whale skulls perfectly match the shape of its jaws. Deep, crushing punctures designed to incapacitate and rip apart prey. Its hunting style was closer to that of orcas than whales, but orcas are cuddly pets compared to this aquatic giant. In an ocean already ruled by Megalodon, Leviathan didn't compete. It coexisted, 2 apex predators roaming the Miocene seas along separate paths of carnage. Eventually, climate shifts and food scarcity erased its lineage. But while it lived, Leviathan was the nightmare no one expected. Not a misunderstood whale, but a warm-blooded marine berserker, shaped by evolution to destroy life. If each of the creatures we've known so far ruled a chapter in the history of the ocean, Megalodon was the end of the book. The name alone awakened something primal, and its reputation, well-deserved. This wasn't just a big shark. It was the largest predatory fish that ever lived. measuring 24.3 to 25 meters in length and weighing 94 tons. Its bite force is estimated between 108,000 and 180,000 newtons, enough to crush a whale's skull as if it were dry bone. And its teeth, over 18 centimeters long, were designed not just to grip, but to slice. A closer look under the microscope reveals something shocking. The serrations weren't random. They were micro-engineered by evolution to cut through fat, muscle, and bone with the maximum efficiency of a surgical blade. But raw power wasn't everything. Megalodon was also warm-blooded, at least partially, maintaining internal body temperatures up to 10 degrees Celsius above the surrounding water. That meant bursts of speed, hunting in deep waters, and dominance across multiple environments, cold or warm, deep or shallow. We know from fossil evidence that it hunted strategically. Whale fossils show precise bite marks on fins and vital organs, crippling the prey before moving in for the kill. This was not a mindless monster. It was a thinking weapon. For more than 20 million years, nothing compared to it. The ocean wasn't just its hunting ground, it was its empire. And then, it vanished. Exactly how remains a mystery. Cooling seas, declining prey, competition. But its shadow endures. Because Megalodon wasn't just a predator, it was the benchmark for everything that came after. The ocean wasn't always a place for humans. It wasn't inviting. It wasn't forgiving. It belonged to monsters, and that's just below the surface. So, if you had to face one of them, just one, which would you fear the most? Let me know in the comments. And if this journey made you look at the ocean a little differently, like, subscribe, and dive with us again into Earth's forgotten past.